Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the workshop session. And I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Here.
Cook. Here. Hannett.
Here.
Odenental.
Here.
Ruben DeSellis. Here. Scott. Here. Speed. Wankel. Here. Watts.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Mayor Ezzard.
Here.
City Attorney Beard.
Thank you. No items under the mayor's report. We'll go right into the city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. We have discussed amending the liquor ordinance. We started this discussion 2 weeks ago. This involves the request for an additional gaming license. Several representatives of the group are here, and I assume would want to give a presentation or something today. Again, the background, we have 2 gaming licenses in the city, Lucky's and Lucy's. After those 2 were issued back in 2014 or so, the council at that point determined that from that point forward they wanted to limit gaming licenses to taverns, restaurants, service clubs, and then of course the truck stops. If you qualify as a truck stop, you also qualify for a gaming license. So with their request, we put that on the agenda for first reading to increase the number of licenses up to 3 instead of 2. I think it'd probably be appropriate if you want to go ahead at this stage, folks.
Hi, my name is Lori Forsyth. I'm here on behalf of Cardinal Restaurant Group. I sent a presentation to all of you last week. Hopefully you received that. And also here is the landlord of the building that we're hoping to get licensed for. Cardinal Restaurant Group was formed in 2015. They currently today have almost 20 locations, pending another 5 or 6, and they are working hard to find good communities that they can partner with to get their numbers up to 35 by the end of next year. They feel Jacksonville is a great fit. They've ran the numbers and the analysis and feel that they could be a great asset and a great revenue stream for the city of Jacksonville. They actually have an average for revenue for municipalities in their current portfolio of $38,000 annually is what they're averaging for each of their locations, and they expect to make that with Jacksonville as well. And just a little bit about their business plan. They'd like to provide a lounge where people can come together and have some quiet conversations, a glass of wine or beer, watch some TV, play the games. A lot of their clientele use it as kind of like a date night where they can go out with some friends or with their significant other and have a nice quiet place. Unlike, the bars or truck stop locations that are available, different kind of setting that they're more comfortable in a more comfortable atmosphere. They also look to support their local restaurants. They have a light food menu that they can do, but for the most part, they have found that opening up a restaurant competes with your existing locations, and they're not looking to do that. They're not looking to take away business. Instead, that they've started it in Shiloh, where they actually encourage their patrons to order and have delivered or bring into their establishment food from establishments in that community. And so that's worked really well for them. Shiloh is currently right now the highest performing gaming parlor in the metro St. Louis area today. And so that model where they started that has worked really well for them. I'd like to introduce Brent. He's the owner of the location we're trying to get into, and he can give you a little bit of background on that location.
I wish I was the owner. My name is Brent Conley. I'm from Libertyville, Illinois. You guys might be familiar with Family Video. I work for the parent company, which is Highland Ventures. We have 2 properties here in town, the Family Video store and then also the Duncan location, which the Cardinal Restaurant Group is asking for the liquor license. As the landlord, for us, it's important that we partner with a financially responsible organization. We're really excited about doing this project with them. I think since the property's been open, we've now had this, I believe, 5 years. This will hopefully be a segue into a 100% occupied property for us. Outside of the gaming facility, we have another party that's coming into the end cap. We're really excited again for the partnership. This is not going to be the only location, hopefully, that we will see them in our properties. We're trying to help them expand to their 35 locations this year as well. And again, as the landlord, I just wanted to show support with the community for Jacksonville. So, thank you.
I just wanted to make myself available for any questions you had on the presentation or anything extra that I can help with, answer about Cardinal Restaurant Group and their existing portfolio. Sure.
You said that they didn't want to serve food that would compete with local restaurants.
That their model, they have both ways. They have found that it doesn't really give them enough business, and it kind of takes away from existing restaurants, and so that's not a model they usually bring forward. They try to do a light menu.
Wouldn't the parlor be competing against the existing parlors and the other places that have gambling here?
Well, we have found that a need or a want, a demand for the gaming, we've ran the numbers and ran the existing portfolio, and we have found that we believe that there's enough for everybody, that it's not saturated the way that it is today. We wouldn't be here if there wasn't a demand. It's a lot of money and a lot of investment to come in and lease a place and do the build-out cost. And so we believe that there's a demand for more locations.
You don't believe there would be an impact on service organizations whose very existence a lot of times rely on the gaming machines?
Meaning taking away from other locations with video gaming today? Our locations aren't typically the type of, you're not coming into a restaurant to sit down and eat. So those type of locations are picking up their existing foot traffic coming in. Our patrons come in just for the gaming. So we don't believe that will impact with them and their customers. A lot of our clientele, for example, I as a woman might not want to go sit outside of a bar, all day and a couple hours and play. There might be some gossip. I'm at the bar, outside the bar. I'm picking my kids up. They like to go to a place where that's exactly what you're there to do, the video gaming, and then to leave. So you got a couple of different customer clienteles versus food, completely competing against another establishment with food. This is just another establishment. A lot of times you got 5 or 6 machines and they're all full at a location and people are waiting to get in. So this will just give 6 more games throughout the community where, they usually will jump from one location to another.
So it would pretty much be just like another bar, another tavern, but with more emphasis on gaming.
Our primary emphasis would be on the gaming. If the city allows for it, yes. So that would be 6 additional VGTs for a parlor, whereas the other 2 locations, I suspect their numbers are good. I suspect that their games are full and people are waiting, and so this just gives another opportunity for those who would like to just go to a location for video gaming to have somewhere to play. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Committee reports tonight. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Our first item is discuss waiving bids and accepting proposal for the demolition of 741 North Main Street and 749 North Main Street. The low bid on 741 was from Shireman Farms for $15,500, and the low bid for 749 was from Rawlings Excavation for $14,300.
May I add to this, you recall one of those, the south property, is one that was damaged by fire not too long ago and in pretty bad shape. We have posted both buildings. It's now in the court process, so to speak, and that the owner has about another 15 days to object in court to the demolitions. If not, then the statute allows us to proceed without
The next item is discuss awarding bid for the MFT project.
Around here. Church and Park, correct, Les?
Yeah, we had two bidders, and Illinois Valley was 217, 543.35, and Gay Bassett 187, 482.50. Engineer estimate was 190. So I recommend both last. And that is Church Street and Park. Parks of.
May I don't have a question, but one of the things that occurred to me just recently is how we have so many curbs in Jacksonville that are deteriorating and falling apart. I'm wondering, with the really great program that you have in place to resurface and replace roads throughout Jacksonville, is it ever, or has it been considered, or are you considering replacing any of the curbs on any of the streets that you're, resurfacing the roads on?
Yeah, we tried to, yeah.
Because I think that's something that we should really put emphasis on, if we can begin to maybe start working with our engineers to think about that. By just enhancing the curbs, I think will make our neighborhoods look a lot better to go along with those pretty new streets that you're putting in. So if we can think about that, just as we move forward, I'd like, I don't know what the rest of the council feels like, but I feel like that's a need that we have in the community. So, thanks, Les.
Thank you, Lori.
Our third item is discuss the request to rezone the property located at 352 Franklin Drive from public to B4. That is the old Franklin School, and that was unanimously passed at the Plan Commission. Any questions on that? And the fourth item is discuss proposed solar ordinance. Got anything you want to say about that, Brian?
Did everybody get a chance to read it? Anybody got any questions about it? It was pretty much taken from the Illinois Solar. It was just a sample that they're giving to the communities, and I changed a few things, took out a few things, added some. I think it's something that we need to have. A lot of people are looking into the solar panels, and the Historical Preservation Society had an issue with one. And the reason they didn't vote on an issue was that we didn't have the solar ordinance, so just trying to get ahead of the curve.
You mentioned something about someone raised a question about the disposal of those panels when they expire. Should we pass the ordinance now? I think it's on the first reading, right?
I don't believe it's on the agenda tonight. I think it was more for discussion tonight, first reading. Let me check and see.
So Don, I had that same question today also, and reached out to Brian, and he indicated that there are some companies that specialize in the disposal of the solar panels, and some manufacturers take back the panels for recycling. Is that, we didn't get to continue our conversation, but
Right now, that's all there is. There is no recycle program in the U.S. other than the manufacturers taking them back, and there are some specialty companies that do that. So we could add some language into the ordinance saying that we require either the panels go back to the manufacturer or they use a licensed disposal company. I think moving forward, there will be legislation for recycling and the disposal of them. The UK and London is way ahead of us on some of the green programs that they have, and they do have companies that are recycling them. Basically, right now, I called Joey Buster, and they have no program. So right now, if something goes to the trash, it's going to the landfill. So there's parts and pieces, there's copper and there's PVC, so they may pull some of that stuff out, and then the rest of it right now is going to a landfill.
do different solar companies that come to Jacksonville, we license them for the city? Do we license them to come and put solar panels on our properties?
We
or
require
residential homes?
a permit for the electrical hookup.
Okay.
Yeah, some of it is, yeah, it's silicone.
Yeah, this was one of the topics that came up when we were considering as a council to do it at this wastewater treatment plant. And one of the main reasons we kind of took a back seat was we didn't know how we were going to dispose of that in 20 years. What was the plan? So I guess my point for asking if they're licensed, it would be great if we were aware of companies that actually had a recycling program in place when they come in, and kind of, you know, maybe cater to those companies that have a disposal process, so they don't end up in our ditches along with these TVs. And you know, it's a double-edged sword, and we definitely need it. I appreciate the fact that you're being forward-thinking, because people are being approached and are putting them on their homes. So I think for
Yeah,
that, I
it's already
appreciate
happening,
you
yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
We could require that they have some type of recycle, reuse program. Whether they, you know, even the companies that we're using, or that people are using now have that, I don't know. I mean, it all sounds great. Yes, I mean, so there's been some panels around here that have been here for a while, so it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be a big thing in the near future. I think actually it's a good business proposal to start a recycling business. I actually reached out to J.J. Richardson. I did. But we can change some of the language, you know. We can add a requirement that they have some type of program, or we can try. And I assume that there'll be tweaks to it in the future, because we're still learning too. But I think it's something that we need to at least get something down and move forward with it.
Yeah, because right now, there are panels going up around town, and we don't have anything to restrict or put any requirements on those, other than having to pull the electric permit in order to install them. At the very least, we would have something in the ordinance that the panels will have to be disposed of according to all applicable state and federal laws. But I think we have to look beyond that and follow what laws are passed, and then get specific. I know, for example, on the wind farm project, which is obviously a much bigger and different project, but they have to post monetary bond to ensure that upon their decommission, all of that's removed and disposed of properly. I don't know that that's something that can be built into this ordinance at this time, but I think as soon as the companies are there to handle either recycling or disposal, we can strengthen it a bit. At the very least also, I would want language in the ordinance that the homeowner and their successors in interest are responsible for the upkeep and disposal, so you don't abandon them at some point and the city have to take them over. But make sure they understand that the succeeding homeowner is going to be responsible for that issue as well.
So there wouldn't be any grandfathering in?
Well, for the panels that are already out there, there's not a whole lot we can do with those, other than they will be subject to anything that we pass concerning disposal of those panels. Yes.
Are these going straight into the grid, or are they being stored by battery?
So Ameren is there, pretty much regulating that for them. So Ameren shows up and hooks it up, make sure that and we make sure that it's hooked up correctly, so.
So the homeowner doesn't maintain any storage?
Right,
So it's not like some of the country systems where.
no. And there is language in there for the decommission, like for some of the panels that have been up now, if they're not used for 12 months or not active for 12 months, then they have to decommission them. And again, we'll have to tweak it, and we'll find something that we missed. And
So we'll continue to work on this. It may be ready for first reading, hopefully at the next meeting, but certainly take a look at it, get Ryan and I any questions you may have. As you do take a look at it, we'll try and incorporate that into the ordinance.
you can email if you got any questions or whatever comes up.
Well, I just think it's really important to address the disposal issue.
Right. And there's language in there already that says you have to follow the state regulations for solar energy system disposal. So that's already in there, but we can add some more stuff to it. And there'll probably be more legislation and more state regulation on it. There has to be. There's not much as far as the country, and let alone Illinois. Illinois is behind everybody else, so. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Utility, Alderman Walkle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One item tonight, discuss waiving bids and accepting a proposal for the wastewater treatment plant blower building roof improvement project. And Mr. Fox with Benton Associates is here.
Good evening, everyone. On June 29th, we opened proposals for the project that we were discussing, the wastewater treatment plant blower building roof improvements, which includes removal and replacement of the existing built-up roof on that building. 2 proposals were received. One from Henson Robinson Company out of Springfield. They were the low submittal with an amount of $43,470. The second proposal was Meyer Roofing, and they were $51,079. This project was in the budget for this year that Ricky had in his budget. I believe he had $40,000 in the budget for the project. As many of you are probably aware, price of building materials has gone up drastically since that happened. So we felt we were pretty fortunate to receive a proposal close to the budgeted amount here. Henson Robinson is a qualified contractor. They didn't have any qualifications on their proposal as far as material prices or anything like that. So because of that, we would recommend that consider awarding the project to Henson Robinson Company for $43,470 for that project.
Thank you, Adam. Any public comment at this time? Seeing no public comment, we will adjourn the workshop session. And I would ask everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett.
Here.
Cook. Here. Hannon.
Here.
Odenettle. Here. Ruben DeSellis. Here. Scott.
Here.
Speed. Wonkel.
Here.
Wormester. Watts. Williams.
Here.
Mayor Ezra.
Here.
City Attorney Beard.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a reading of the minutes this evening? Very good. Is there a second? Alderman Aaron Scott. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Presentation of petitions?
None?
And communications?
None.
And the claims are in the hands of the alderman. Is there a motion this evening to pay claims? Alderman Williams, seconded by Alderman Watts. All those in favor of paying the claims, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the mayor's report, there's a bunch of appointments. And remember, if you have good people that want to get active and want to get on a commission or a board, send them to me. Number 1 is the appointment of Mark Holloway to the Governor Duncan Association, term to expire May of 2023. Is there a motion for Mr. Holloway? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Large Oldnettle. All those in favor of appointing Mark Holloway, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We'll combine the next 2. The appointment of Peggy Davidsmeyer and Dan Thompson to the Commission on Disabilities and Human Relations. Terms to expire for Peggy would be October 30th, 2024, and Dan would be October 30th, 2022. Is there a motion for Dan and Peggy? Alderman Ruben DeSellis, seconded by Alderman Bartlett. All those in favor of approving or appointing Peggy and Dan to the Commission on Disabilities and Human Relations, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the last one, the appointment of Chad Bulkey to the Heritage Cultural Center Board, term to expire January 1st, 2023. And is there a motion for Mr. Bulkey? Alderman Wankel, second by Alderman Large Olnettle. All those in favor of appointing Chad to the Heritage Cultural Center Board, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Chad's also taking on the September 2022 Chautauqua. So Chad's going to have he's getting really going. So good for Chad. That's my report. City Attorney's report.
Thank you. The one item is first reading of an ordinance amending the Jacksonville Municipal Code, Chapter 3, alcoholic beverages, increasing the number of Class GP gaming parlor licenses by 1 to a total of 3. This is the Cardinal Restaurant Group as Jacksonville LLC DBA Debbie's application.
Is there a motion?
I've got a couple questions. Do I wait?
So we should have, if we're going to have discussion, we should have a motion and second, and then,
Then discuss.
yeah.
Alderman DeSellis, second by Alderman Williams.
Be it ordained that the Chapter 3 of the Jacksonville Municipal Code, alcoholic beverages, be amended, adding an additional GP gaming parlor license.
Discussion.
If we pass this, we've had numerous people come in the last 6 years asking to do the same thing, and we've turned them all down without really giving it any thought. Like, just, it said it too, that's where it's at. So if we do this, we're just gonna open it back up and say, anybody that wants a game parlor, have at it?
You will, I think, be forced to at the very least consider them as they come through. You still have the final vote, but whether you can come up with not necessarily a legal justification, but a fairness justification as to why you stop now at 3 as opposed to 4 or 5 or 7. And kind of tied in with that, as we expected, we've had several calls this past week from convenience stores asking if you're going to be increasing the number of licenses than the convenience stores. 3 of them want convenience store licenses
Right,
as well.
I knew there was plenty of people that have asked, and we've turned them down because we didn't want a lot of gaming parlors in the town. So
Yeah,
I was just kind of curious what everybody's thoughts were on that. If we're gonna do this, are we gonna just open it up and say anybody that wants one, come at it? And
Just for the past council, or the new members also, this is the first group that has actually, they've asked, but I've explained that we've only had 2, but they went ahead and filed anyway for this moment. In the past, they usually call and I say, well, we have a limit, and that's it. So that's where we're at tonight.
I still have some concerns about our service organizations whose, in some cases, their very existence is dependent on the gambling. We start taking away from them what is going to be their existence, so to speak. I just think that we're going to add another one. Answer for Aaron, it'd be hard to turn down the next one. If you grant this one.
And I plan to vote no this evening on the first reading, simply because we have had discussion many times over the last several years. Also, as a parent of 2 young children, I want my kids to know that they they don't have to see gaming parlors when they go to the grocery store, to bowling. Every place they go, there's gaming. I'm not the morality police, but certainly I want my kids to know that, and other kids that they're with, that gaming is not necessarily needs to be on every corner.
Any other discussion? We have a s- I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
No.
Cook,
No.
Hannett,
Abstain.
O'Neill,
No.
Ruben DeSellis. No. Scott,
No.
Wankel,
No.
Watts,
Abstain.
and Williams.
Abstain.
Motion failed first reading.
Okay. City clerk's report?
I have no idea.
Well, you've got a community development.
I gotta turn the pages. Hold on. We have the reports that were sent to you electronically, the Development Department report for June, cash receipts report for June, the budget report, general fund for June, and the revenue analysis report for June 30, 2021. If there are any questions with any of those reports, you can contact me or stop by the office.
Thank you.
No questions?
Thank you. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll go into consent agenda and finance, IT, and personnel. Alderman Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two items tonight. The first one is the resolution authorizing payment from the Capital Improvement Fund for certain improvement projects. And the second item is a resolution authorizing payment from the general fund for services rendered.
Thank you. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two items tonight. The first one is resolution authorizing the waiver of advertisement for bids and accepting proposals for the demolition of 741 North Main Street and 749 North Main Street. Our second item is a resolution accepting proposal to furnish materials and awarding contract for the 2021 Motor Fuel Tax Materials Program.
Thank you. Utility, Alderman Wankel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two items tonight. Number one, resolution authorizing waiver of advertisement for bids and acceptance of proposal for the wastewater treatment plant blower building roof improvement project. Number two, resolution authorizing payments from the Waterworks and Sewage Projects Fund for services rendered improvement projects, and I so move.
Is there a second on the consent agenda? Alderman Large Olnettle? You've heard the items under the consent agenda tonight. Is there any you wish to pull to committee for further discussion? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis. Scott,
Yes.
Wankel,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Committee reports tonight. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item. The first reading of an ordinance amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 352 Franklin Drive from public to B4, and I so move.
Is there a second? Alderman Ruben DeSellis.
Be it ordained that the Jacksonville zoning map be amended for the property located at 352 Franklin Drive, changing the zoning classification from public to B4 General Business District.
Discussion? I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
O'Donnell. Ruben DeSellis. Scott,
Yes.
Speed, Wankel,
Yes.
Watts?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'll be curious to see what Mr. York does at my elementary school. That'll be interesting. All right, any old business this evening we can discuss? No old business, any new business? No new business. Oh, I'm sorry, backing up. I thought I did do public comment. Any public comment? Wow, okay. Well, is there a second? Alderman Scott.
And that's to discuss collective bargaining.
And we are in executive session.